Family. So today I want to talk about correcting behavior through speech. As the late great Dr. Francis Cress Welsing has taught us, the way we speak determines the way we behave as a people, right? And one of the things I want to correct is us using the term African descent. Now, the other day I was talking to a brother. He happened to be a red, black, and green brother, a Pan-African brother, right? And he used that term in a sentence. He was like, well, us as African descent. And I had to stop the brother and correct him. I said, I'm not African descent. I use that term for biracial people because biracial people, by definition, are African descent, meaning that they have a parent who is African. They may be a coon, but they have a parent who is African. So essentially, that makes them African descent and European, right? I use that term for mixed race people, for biracial people, right? Not for me. I am not African descent. I am African. Because when we actually use the term African descent, what it's ultimately saying is that our ancestors were African, but we are something different. And so in the brain, the way the brain internalizes that is saying that, yeah, you have a connection to Africa, but you are not African. And so I don't use that term African descent. I am African. No matter what language I speak, no matter what continent I live on, you get what I'm saying? I am African, right? That's my asili. That's what lives inside of me. So we got to stop using the term African descent because we are not African descent. We're African. We might be Africans who speak French. We might be Africans who speak English. We might be Africans who speak Spanish. But being African is not based on a zip code. Being African is not based on whether or not someone accepts me as being African. So I don't care if someone comes from the African continent and says, you're not African. I'm going to look at them and say, I'm just as African as you are. Because me being African is not based on someone accepting me as being African. I'm just African because it's in me. Because my historical connection to that continent, my lineage is connected to that continent. My culture is connected to that continent. Okay? So we have to stop using the term African descent, right? And we have to realize that we are African. Internalize that. As Dr. Francis Cress Welsing says, words shape your behavior. So if you look at yourself as African descent, then you're going to move throughout the world as African descent. You're never going to truly connect as being African. You're not going to internalize that. Another thing we have to stop saying in the community is Black African, right? We have to stop using that term Black African. And I get it. Sometimes it's interchangeable. I'm guilty of doing it. I've done it before in the past. But I am now correcting my behavior in saying Black African. Because as John Henry Clark says, when you use the term Black African, you are somehow denoting to the fact that there's another form of being African, right? Whether it be a white African, an Asian African. You know what I'm saying? There's only one African, and that is the Black African. So by default, we should never even use the term Black African. There is only one African, right? It doesn't matter. And that is the Black African, right? So John Henry Clark says he gets it, he understands it, it's interchangeable, you can use it as interchangeable, but the problem with our people is a lot of them will still connect to that Black more than African. Because that Black is very close to being white. You get what I'm saying? And so we would cling to identifying as Black opposed to identifying as African. And so he says, remove that Black and just call yourself African. Period. You are African. So I just wanted to share that with us, because a lot of times we think that the way we interpret ourselves through conversation is not important. We think that we can call each other bitches, hoes, niggas, and not be affected by that somehow. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing says it is hard to organize bitches, hoes, and niggas. This is why it's important that you that you shape the way you speak so your brain can interpret the way it should move throughout the world. This is why Dr. Francis Cress Welsing says that every Black man in America or in the world should wake up every day and say, this might be my last day on earth, but I'm willing to protect myself, my women, my children, and my household with my life. And when you begin to internalize that, you move throughout the world differently. You move throughout the world with less of fear of being attacked, or your family being attacked, or you standing around screaming out "World Star" as a black woman gets jumped on. You have to take that in your mind. Today might be my last day on this earth, but guess what? I'm going to protect myself, my people, and my women, and the children of my community. And that's how you got to move. And once you internalize that, your actions will be different. Trust, because a lot of us are scared, and we're saying we're scared openly. You got NBA players saying they're scared. You got NASA people saying they're scared. Just black people running around all day. I'm scared. I'm scared. When the police pull me up, I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. We just scared all around. We got to get that out of our system, because when your mouth says that you're scared, then your brain interprets the fact that you're scared, right? This is why, and I don't believe in the Bible, I always say this, but this is why the Bible says there's power in the words. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was in the beginning. Because whoever wrote the Bible, for whatever specific reason, they understand the power of the Word. There's power in words. This is why in every spirituality, there's a form of humming, right? And chanting and words, and we call it spells. There's power in that. So we got to change the way we speak. I know it's ingrained in us. That even shows you how much it's so ingrained in us. We have to train the way we speak. We have to train ourselves not to say nigga. We got to train ourselves not to call each other bitches and hoes, even if we call it joking or whatever the case may be. We have to train ourselves, right? This is why white people, they will pay these black people millions of dollars to make these bitches and hoes songs, right? But you ain't getting up there talking about kill whitey and kill cracker and shit like that, because you'll get cut. I remember seeing the interview with Plies talking about that, how he said he had a song called 100 Years. And in the verse he talks about, man, these crackers, they don't care, they'll give you 100 years. And they asked him to take the song off the album, the whole song. And he was like, damn, I just said nigga, so many times up there, but when I say cracker, y'all want me to take the whole, song down? But anyway, again, like I said, it's important that we, change the way we speak, because then that would eventually change our actions. All right, family. So until next time, holla.